Welcome back. Let's not waste any time. We're actually going to go back to Maryland and take a look at the Bayside North. First stop, Kent Island. The powerhouse of the Bayside finished at 10-3 last season. Now that season did come to an end in a heartbreaking fashion in the state quarterfinals to Dunbar, who scored with time running out on fourth down from just 10 yards out. And if that wasn't big enough of a loss for the Bucks, longtime head coach Brian Sofanowski also retired following the season in order to spend more time with his family. But the reins have been passed over to Damian Ferragamo, who won a state title of his own as a head coach at Old Mill. So I think he's quite familiar with that, and he's also quite familiar with the Bucks, as he's been helping out as an assistant coach with them since 2011. But the big question that remains, can they maintain this caliber of play with a new coach leading the way? We'll find out more coming up. And swinging by Easton. Last season, the Warriors were off to a hot start at 5-0, but their competition caught up with them as they ended up finishing off the year at 7-5. Now, there are a couple of gaps in this team after graduating the Bayside. Offensive Player of the Year quarterback Jalen Money and stud athlete, running back and linebacker Leon Florina. I know you guys remember him from that dunk that he had in basketball season. Well, TJ Nixon will be taking over at quarterback, and he has some big shoes to fill. The Warriors action starts on September 4th at North Carolina at 6:30 p.m. And speaking of the matchup with the Bulldogs, I am sure North Carolina cannot wait to take the field against Easton, the team that bumped the Bulldogs out of the playoffs last year based on points. North Carolina finished at 6-4, a big loss for the Bulldogs at quarterback with Jeff Pauley. But some good news for the Bulldogs is they will be returning second-team All-State running back Kenny Jackson. He is a stud out there, so make sure to keep an eye out on him. And a team who saw a lot of success last year was the Cambridge South Dorchester Vikings, who finished the year at 11-2. Their only regular season loss came to Cape Henlopen, who had a solid roster of their own. Now, the Vikings lost in the state quarterfinals to Frederick Douglass. Now, they do lose their running back and DB, James Smith, but they will be bringing back their other running back, Emery Wangus, and quarterback Nathaniel Lowe. Their season opener is right here in Salisbury against Y-High. A bunch of guys are sitting next to me on September 4th at 6:30 p.m. And taking things back to Kent Island, we all want to meet the Bucks' new head coach, Spencer and Trey. Help us get to know Coach Ferragamo and the Bucks.
Thanks, Angela. You're absolutely right. There is a new man calling the shots there on the Bucks sideline. It's been a long time, if ever, that they had an opportunity to do that. We are now joined by Damian Ferragamo, the head coach of this year's Kent Island Bucks. I got to ask, the transition is obvious, moving from that assistant now to the head coach there. How has that been for you, kind of taking over now the face of the program that, a guy is obviously, and Brian Sofanowski, that had for so long?
Well, it's been fantastic. A lot of that has to do with Coach Sofanowski. And when you take over a program from a friend of yours and somebody who really still cares about the school, kind of taking you step by step through the ropes of how things are done at that school, it's been tremendous, and we're having a lot of fun out there doing it.
All right, Coach, we know this program to be a powerhouse of its own. 10-3 last year, guys. Numerous state title runs. How do you keep this program where it's at? How do you even elevate it?
Well, I think a lot of the recent tradition we have just helps that. We've been successful and kids want to be part of the program. We have a great group of kids who really bust their tails in the off season, getting in the weight room and understand the importance of preparing their bodies. A bunch of 2 and 3 sport athletes, so they're pretty well-rounded kids. And they're hungry to get back on the field. Had our first scrimmage today, and we're ready to get things going.
Coach, you were a part of the team last year that, as Angela mentioned a second ago, had the heartbreaking loss to Dunbar. That feels like something that can linger around for a program for a while. I mean, has that settled? Have you guys moved past that yet? Is that something you think you guys carrying into the offseason and trying and kind of use that as motivation? How do you, I guess, get better from that game that was a tough loss?
I appreciate the clip being on right now. That's good. No,
we were there, man. We were there.
It's about one of the toughest losses you'll ever see
I agree.
To end a season. But to be honest with you, we haven't spoken of it at all. This is, every year each team has their own identity. So, whatever happened last year happened last year. We've got a bunch of great kids this year who are ready to take over some of the guys who left. So we're keeping our eyes in front of us.
A little bit about those guys that left, Coach. Zach Goodrich, Stone Boone. We know you guys love to run the ball, run it downhill all the time. Those are some hard-hitting guys. How do you plan on replacing and getting the same kind of effort out of different guys?
Well, nobody needs to shed any tears for us. We've got plenty of guys who can step into that role. We've got today in our scrimmage, we have 5 or 6 guys who are carrying the ball in first team reps. We've got plenty of guys to do it. And luckily, we have a bunch of big boys up front who are helping pave the way. That's going to be the strength of our team, the upfront offensive and defensive lines.
It's definitely going to be fun to watch. Is this going to be another one? Because even last year, it felt like there was so much balance across. There wasn't even really, when you looked at the team, that one key piece. You think that's going to be the case again this year? It's just going to be a bunch of guys contributing?
Oh, absolutely. And we plan to throw the ball as well. We plan on being balanced. It's hard to rely on one guy. I think everybody throughout the years always had. You'll have that one star player, and it's hard to hand somebody a ball 40 times and win. So
absolutely. Well, whatever you guys been doing has been working. So as long as you stick to that format, I'm sure you guys will see success again.
Good luck.
All right. Well, it's time for another quick commercial break. But coming up on the other side, we're going to keep things in the Bayside North and check in on our other 4 teams. This is the DSI Coaches Conference.
We are
the Vikings.
and you're watching Delmarva Sports Insider.